Sheryl, I'll start with you. What's your reaction to Caitlin Clark winning Time Magazine Athlete of the Year?
I don't think I'm surprised. I'm curious to know who the other candidates were.
The gloves are off, and the new Fever general manager, Amber Cox, did not hold back. She is about to expose Sheryl Swoopes, and trust me, it's going to be huge in her latest interview. In this video, we'll break down Swoopes. Just when we thought the drama was over, Sheryl Swoopes is stirring the pot about Caitlin Clark's recent Athlete of the Year awards. But guess what? The Indiana Fever's general manager isn't having it. Accusations, why they're completely incorrect, and how Cox is correcting the record. But she's also giving us a new angle on the Fever's locker room that will make you laugh at everything Swoopes has been saying. Is this the last nail in Swoopes' credibility coffin? Are you ready to let go? She has a lot of fans, and you saw it across arenas. So many people were moving games to see her play. Just when you thought the drama was over, Sheryl Swoopes has a new grievance with Caitlin. Since it's a huge deal for the sport, you would think that Clark's time as an Athlete of the Year would be a cause for celebration. However, Clark's face on that iconic red border is the kind of mainstream recognition that women's basketball has been fighting for the longest time. The WNBA has been trying to get on this global scale, and I feel like that's the direction they are finally beheaded. I believe that WNBA fans have always been proud supporters and pushers of this league's advancements, but sometimes a certain star of a certain caliber is needed to truly just expand and explode the league from the inside out, and that's what Caitlin Clark is. However, Swoopes couldn't let Clark have her moment, so she decided to crash the party at Gil's Arena. Her reaction, let me tell you, was anything but congratulatory rather than praising Clark's accomplishment. Swoopes went full conspiracy theorist and began questioning the awards criteria, as if Time magazine had forgotten how to choose their Athlete of the Year. The fact that a WNBA player has ever won Time magazine's Athlete of the Year award is pretty unique, but I'm curious about the criteria. Is it based on her on-court performance? Yes, she had an amazing season, or is it more about her influence on the game this season? Wilder Swoopes even had the gall to say that Asia Wilson ought to have been nominated instead. Don't get me wrong, Wilson is an amazing player, but this isn't about comparing athletes. Given Clark's undeniable influence on the sport, Swoopes' remarks weren't just misguided, they were disparaging a moment that should have featured Wilson in United Women's Basketball. Well, that was just basketball, so that's what I'm saying. Was it just the on-court performance, or is it global? I think it's everything. But this is where things get interesting. Amber Cox, the new general manager of the Indiana Fever, isn't going to ignore Swoopes' remarks in a recent interview. And Caitlin Clark was recently named the Times Athlete of the Year. Cox pointed out that it should be clear to anyone listening that Clark's victory is a huge deal for women's basketball as a whole. She talked about how Clark's popularity is bringing new eyes to the sport, filling arenas and inspiring a whole new generation of players. Cox didn't mince words when she said that Clark absolutely deserved the award, highlighting both her on-court performance and her athletic accomplishments. I believe Caitlin Clark deserved the award for her dominance and off-court impact because she attracted a lot of attention and had a huge multiplier effect. However, Cox didn't stop there. She continued by explaining why this recognition is so important and how it's not just about Clark, but about elevating the sport as a whole. She highlighted how Clark's success is opening doors for all female athletes and creating opportunities that didn't previously exist, making it seem like I don't take anything away from other players who brought more attention. Angel Cameron, the identity and the level of brand recognition these players now possess in college have undoubtedly aided the WNBA. And dare I say it, Cox is not alone in her assessment. Basketball experts everywhere have been confirming Clark's selection, pointing out how her college performances broke records, how she's generating unprecedented viewership, and how she's transforming the discourse surrounding women's sports. Caitlin Clark is a superstar, not a female superstar. She is a super are we. In 2024, no one did that quite like Caitlin Clark, who combined her historic senior season in college with her record-breaking WNBA freshman debut. Now that her college career is over, it turns out that there is nothing Caitlin Clark can't do with her skills. The WNBA has been searching for someone who moves the needle, and these experts say that Swoopes seems to have forgotten that the Athlete of the Year award isn't just about stats, but also about impact, influence, and pushing the sport forward. Given all of the information, you might think that Swoopes would back down or even acknowledge that she spoke too soon. But think again, because shockingly, she had another target in mind. This time, she wasn't just targeting Clark, she was targeting the entire Fever organization. Remember Kelsey Mitchell, the Fever star guard who has been dominating the scoreboard since 2018? According to Swoopes, her time in Indiana may be coming to an end. But let's take a closer look at the situation before drawing any conclusions. Our top priority going into free agency is to resign Kelsey Mitchell. In the second half of last year's season, I believe that backcourt was as lethal as we've seen in the WNBA, if not in history. Kelsey Mitchell has been a vital member of the Indiana Fever for years, and her three-point shooting and scoring prowess have made her a fan favorite. When Caitlin Clark joined the team, everyone was thrilled to see these two offensive talents complement each other, but this is where things get interesting, Sheryl. Here's where I believe they did a very good job, and that was with Kelsey Mitchell, an unrestricted free agent, because she had a hell of a season this season, and I don't think she got the credit that she deserved. If Swoopes is correct, this could be a major issue for the Fever. Swoopes claims the team is neglecting their longtime star in favor of the rookie sensation Clark and Mitchell. She even suggested Mitchell might want to leave Indiana because of this. Before we make any decisions, let's hear from someone who is actually in the know, Amber Cox, the Fever's general manager, who is here to set the record straight. We want to reunite Caitlin and Kelsey, and when I think of her and her time in Indiana, I think of Kelsey.
Mitchell's free agent is approaching, and rumors like this could influence her decision to stay. Plus, if players start believing there is favoritism, it could cause some serious locker room drama.
And you know a lot of hardships throughout her career. So for me and us, I'm most excited for her to be here now and have so much success. Cox didn't just disagree with Swoopes. She made it clear that Mitchell is an important part of the Fever's future, both on and off the court. Cox called Mitchell a cornerstone of the franchise, someone they're building around, and they shared some inside information about their plans for Mitchell. As for Mitchell's upcoming free agency, Cox stated that keeping her in check is a top priority. She and Fever President Kelly Krakoff have discussed using the core designation to keep Mitchell in Indiana for at least another year. They're working hard to make the Fever a place where Mitchell wants to stay for the long run. Yes, we do have the opportunity to core her, and it would be somewhat irresponsible of me if we didn't take advantage of that opportunity. The bottom line is that on one side, we have Swoopes making unsubstantiated claims, and on the other, the Fever's general manager explains Mitchell's significance and their plans to retain her. It appears that there may be more to this story than first meets the eye. I've always been somewhat under the radar, and I've always been that player or that person who is very conservative. I'm also very introverted, so now that I get to see the other side of it, I can laugh about it because I know it's coming from a sincere place. But I embrace it from the perspective that people aren't guaranteed to see me play. So now that they do, I just hope I do right. Sheryl Swoopes has been on a mission to discredit Caitlin Clark for the past year, beginning with the outrageous claim that she is 25 years old and playing against teenagers, but that was only the beginning. Swoopes then predicted that Clark's game wouldn't work in the WNBA, calling her college success a fluke. And are you shocked by Caitlin Clark and the Fever's improvement after the Olympic break? She even spread stories about locker room drama, saying that Clark's shooting would falter, her passes would miss, and she would find it difficult to keep up with professional players' 20 points, 8. Although I don't think that's dominant, Clark's rookie season has shut all of that down. She has been scoring wildly and handing out assists that have even defeated more seasoned players. 4 assists and 6 rebounds is insane. Insane. Although Swoopes continues to run her mouth, Clark isn't just keeping up, she's leading the pack. The problem is that every game she plays makes Swoopes look more and more foolish. Clark isn't just disproving her detractors, she's also altering our perception of what rookies in the WNBA can accomplish. This isn't where I want to be over there. Yes, you have important players on this Indiana Fever team who say, oh, I don't want to be here. Since one rookie star sounds like a soap opera, that's the story Sheryl Swoopes is trying to sell us. However, what if everything we've been told about the drama in the locker room of the Indiana Fever is completely false? Let's break it down. Swoopes has been painting an ugly picture of the team, telling everyone that Caitlin Clark's arrival is the reason why the team is failing, with players wanting to leave and jealousy. I was obviously not present, but you could see, and I've heard about how close this unit was, but the real Fever players and staff are saying something quite different. They're encouraging one another on social media, demonstrating excellent teamwork on the court, and complimenting Clark's work ethic. Coaches are adoring her leadership and how she's improving everyone. Now let's hear from Amber Cox, the team's general manager, who recently shut down Swoopes' claims. Cox talked about how close the team is and how they support one another. She described a culture where everyone, from the oldest players to the rookies. It's really cool to walk into this environment and have the entire organization pulling in the same direction. So why is Swoopes saying all this stuff? Her message was clear. This isn't a team divided by jealousy, rather, it's a group of women working together to be great ownership CEO all the way down through the company. Every single person I've spoken to has asked how I can help, whatever I can do to lend to the success of the Fever, continue the growth, but I can to a person. If we look more closely, we might discover why this WNBA legend is pursuing the league's new star. You would think that a WNBA legend would be the first to support the next generation, but Sheryl Swoopes' actions toward Caitlin Clark tell a different story about what's driving this. Additionally, it appears that Swoopes only uses social media to discuss grasping at straws. What kinds of things do you feel? I'm not in the locker room, I'm talking about more social media. Rivalry, and what does it mean for women's basketball? Given that the WNBA is clearly at a turning point in its history, led by the Indiana Fever, I believe that all of those experiences will help us do our best job here. However, let's take a broader view. Women's sports have advanced significantly, but there is still more to be done. The WNBA has been fighting for equal pay, respect, and recognition, so you would expect the pioneers to support one another and new talent after one should succeed. Means success for everyone. We're at this amazing turning point, and it seems like the rest of the world has realized how amazing these players are on the court and what wonderful people they are off it. However, Swoopes seems to have overlooked that memo her attacks on Clark are perplexing and could harm the sport she helped create. When a legend continues to disparage a rising star, it sends a strange message to fans, sponsors, and young players.